thank you to the Honourable Member, the Member for Pontypridd, for tabling this important topic for debate this evening. The great power of sport, of course, is that it's got an amazing ability to bring people together and unite. And we have seen great progress, as the Honourable Lady did acknowledge, with women's sport in recent years, with levels of media coverage and sponsorship higher than they've ever been. But of course there is much, much more to do, with many women's top-level leagues and events cancelled, and the inherent economic imbalance between men's and women's sport is leaving women's sport having to fight harder to recover from coronavirus. That can't be right. Misogyny has no place in our society and has no place in sport. As I've said before about women in politics, I think if we want more women in sport, we need to start treating the ones we've already got a lot better. Now, this is something we do take very seriously as government. It's fantastic to see elite women's sport getting better coverage, but our key aim is to use that exposure to encourage more women and girls to get active, and as we set out in the government's sports strategy, Sporting Future, sport and physical activity should be accessible to all, and we mean all. But there is still a gap in participation levels between men and women. We know there is still more work to be done to break down those barriers that prevent women and girls from getting active. And I did meet with sport governing bodies and the CEO of the fantastic charity the Honourable Lady mentioned, Women in Sport, over the summer to explore further the new challenges COVID-19 has brought and discuss what more can be done. And I'm happy to say there was a real shared commitment amongst sports to protect investment in women's sport and promote its growth. I also did write to the major sports governing bodies and asked them what they were doing to encourage and support women's sport. They came back with very positive responses, and I'm looking forward to seeing those positive responses and words turn into action, as I'm sure the whole House is. Now, public funding, which the Honourable Member mentioned, into sport should clearly benefit women's sport and physical activity. This is something I'm very passionate about. I've made this clear to all the major sporting bodies that if they're receiving government funding, I expect and require them to make sure an adequate share of that funding is spent on women's sport. We must not become complacent or turn a blind eye to discrimination or misogyny. I thank again the Honourable Member for reminding us of this by tabling this evening's debate.